Michael, I was very impressed to see you working on this project. I would love to network with someone like you for a number of reasons. I've been thinking about how we pursue a solution. I went to the hospital in 2019 and was given the diagnosis of bipolar, which I was trying to talk about this giant project that came to me in truly sort of a vision. And anyway, it led to me wanting to solve these key problems in mental health. I was thinking about a project management system for and engaging people with the project because if we're trying to make differences changes with Bitcoin or how we manage gun control, those are both situations where we need to be able to engage the public and let the public know why there might be one better investment decision for our nation or another. And so these systems, as with mental health and our banking systems, they affect the way we govern our nation. And if we want to run it more like a business, we have to put ourselves in a position to be able to talk about how we use the data to make really intelligent business decisions. And so I could talk to you about this project that I have that extends our separation of powers, and one of the key infrastructural goals that I target is mental health. And so that's the second video that I have on your page or in the email that I'm sending you today. Um, but Mr. Russell's experiences, they resonate with me because I was also prescribed medication that I didn't believe was best for me. And I realized they're not effectively correlating the science. Now, I will stand up for the mental health profession and say, unless they have something like I'm proposing, they don't have the resources. There's not enough staff. They don't have enough time each day. They typically only spend 10 minutes with a patient or less. And then the patient has all these things that they think about throughout the day, and they waterfall through it all, and there's not a good atmosphere for letting people work through things and really build what I call a diagram of experiences so that people can understand the traumas and or different experiences and how they've affected their relationships, their triggers, all of these different things. And then we can try to correlate with that data what medication works for which people in which contexts, because we might realize a lot of depression and anxiety stem from experiences that people have a hard time accepting or really realizing how they've affected them in the way they pursue relationships or other aspects of their life. So I would love to have a chance to talk with you more. I wanted to keep this video short. If you look through my strategic pivot page, it might confuse you a little bit. There's a separation of powers that I'm talking about there, where you have the public sector in our standard government model with the House, the Senate, and the the president's veto ability, able to actuate change to an infrastructure like mental health architecture. And you can also have people come through projects, or you can have a Fortune 500 board be another mechanism through which I just suggest working with the private sector more, because if we're going to do more voting through the internet, and Elon's talking about direct democracy, we want these different I call them different levels, circles of expertise. And so the medical professions and the companies driving these systems, that's one level of expertise. The broader, larger private sector market is another area of expertise. And then the standard US government model is another area of expertise. And so we can get a three-part system out of that that's kind of like a separation of powers that we have with our government with respect to the laws. I like having that Fortune 500 board model because I like the idea of us trying to create this fund that we're managing as a really kind of a second tax system. And um, with that, I suggest that because there will be companies pursuing how we build these solutions for mental health infrastructure, and people can vote on that. People can essentially invest money in companies that they think have the best idea. We can do the same thing for green energy and different things like that. But now we've got a model where part of our tax system incentivizes people to invest in companies that are building these solutions. And that can offset retirement costs, that can boost people's retirement. And if you're any one of the companies that's trying to grow these solutions and you want to grow a big profitable business, the more people that you can get to develop the skills it takes to help you grow your business, the better off you'll be, the faster your business will grow. And so you can build this giant project management tool for recruiting and I can go. That's what's on this web page. Is the Strategic Pivot web page has a lot of information. I try to use some of Donald Trump's lingo, though I wanted him to work with Kamala Harris. I was trying to bring everybody together. I went and I canvassed for a political organization and talked about this door to door over the past few months. And it's odd to me that all of a sudden we started talking about this efficiency bureau when I've been talking about this for so much for the last 5 years that I built a website with all kinds of videos. Now, there are a small number of pieces of software engineering skill that I need to pick up before I can build the full and complete solution that I propose in this website. Specifically, there's a piece on how these post structures would work that is very relevant here. And so I could go into a lot of detail with this about how I propose we modify the education system. I don't propose getting rid of the Board of Education, but I do propose a change which allows us to talk, which opens up the market for more people to build. There are all these YouTube content producers, and there are some key websites I could talk to you about that have great ideas for how we supplement education. And then you end up in a world where we have much more highly customizable lesson plans. And when we're building pitches and proposals for moving to Bitcoin, is Bitcoin really a good decision for our nation? Is Elon Musk just trying to make some money with crypto? And he thinks it's got some promise and some potential. But what I'm trying to say is the big thing is we need these core architectures to be positioned such that we can talk as a team about how we use the data at our disposal to drive decisions. I don't believe in deporting people for worrying about people here illegally. I worry about us getting the data to effectively police things. And then, if people are here illegally, just charge 5% more in tax until they do the paperwork. And we can help to use that money to build really good programs and web tools to make it easy for people to do this. And so that's what I mean when I say creative ways to use the data to help manage our society without having to deport a whole bunch of people. We could be profiting a little bit more by helping people, and then using that money to help build the tools to solve this problem more effectively in the future. And that's probably better than deporting a whole bunch of people. Anyway, I could go into a lot of detail on this project and how I think it's the better move for our nation, so much so that, and I'll elaborate on this, our ability, if we're talking about border security, our ability to police the border effectively depends on the data we can get from these other nations. And so we can't care about just our success. We also have to care about the tools the nations around us and the whole world has. And so I make this a part of a big strategy where we can approach other nations and talk about implementing these tools, but also talk about making sure they have the same security requirements so that we can all feel safe with these advanced tools. And then there's a pathway for us to move the world forward in a really peaceful strategy to get the world to be a little bit more similar between different regions. And we can drive the value of this set of strategies so much so on the world stage that we could pay off the national debt with this. I suggest giving 50% of this to the Federal Reserve. There are a lot of things, and I have a lot of room for flexibility on this. There's an addendum structure that, again, I talked about that three-part model. They would be in charge of how these markets are defined and how it's basically like the business's rights to continue to serve these markets. So I consider Strategic Pivot's addendums and how we tie this to the Constitution effectively does what the Bill of Rights did for citizens' rights, for businesses' rights in the modern age. Granted, that's a little bit, it's a different issue, it's a different set of problems and a different set of goals, so it looks different. But I'd love to talk to you more about this. If you wanted to look through this page, most of the videos are in 5-minute chunks. There are about 4, 5, 30-minute videos. So maybe some of those are 20-minute videos. But in a weekend, somebody could come to understand most of this, and I could answer any questions you have. This has been a longer video than I wanted. Thank you, Michael. I really appreciate what you're doing. I would protest for you for free. I'm going to consider it anyway. I've got a lot of other things that I'm working on. But I feel for Mr. David Russell, and I'd love to help out with this problem. I've been working on it for 5 years. Thank you. I appreciate you.